What's up YouTube, Playmatter here, and today I'm here comparing two Shaddoll decks. So before the regional I came second at, with the Judgment Dragon Shadolls, the most recent event was this event with Jeff Jones playing Denko dolls, and obviously he's a very credible player, very brilliant deck builder. And I think comparing two variants of a deck, what do you compare, what do you look at? And I'm here today to talk about the sort of things that I did when comparing my Judgment Dragon Shaddoll's deck to Jeff Jones's Denko dolls deck, and seeing how they were built for the meta. So looking at Jeff Jones's list straight away, I really saw that he wasn't expecting to see Clifford very much, and that he was expecting to see Bending Abyss a lot. So we have things like Triple Denko. Denko is the MVP against Bending Abyss, completely shuts down their back rows, and once they have no back rows, they are useless against things like Econ, Shaddoll Fusion. There's two Puppet Plant here, which only really work against Shaddoll and Bending Abyss. You can see he's got the 3 MST in the side deck, and the 3 Ferrywind in the side deck for Clifford, and probably brings in Reigeki as well. The thing with Enemy Controller is that Enemy Controller lets you steal their monster, obviously, but it means that you can then Shaddoll Fusion with their monster in the battle phase as well. So you can kind of, if they've got 2 monsters, attack over one of them, use Econ to tribute the one that you've just attacked with to steal his remaining monster, attack with all the remaining guys, and then Shaddoll Fusion with his monster in the battle phase. And if that's not game, then obviously you've got quite a good advantage out of that. So when testing this exact build, there are a few things that I had an issue with. I was finding it hard because, you know, even with the 1 copy of Collapse Serpent, I always open up with Collapse Serpent, and never with Denko and Wyvern Buster when I do open with Collapse Serpent, and that's just like such a frustrating mechanic to have to play with like 5 Chaos Monsters in a deck that doesn't really send lights to the graveyard very quickly. Obviously, when you do send like Wyvern Buster to the from deck to grave with Shaddoll Fusion, it doesn't do anything. There's no advantage gained from that. Like obviously, when you summon it and then Shaddoll Fusion with it, or Shaddoll Fusion with it, it's great. But I really like the fact that with the lightsworn build in general, that every time you send a lightsworn to the grave, it's doing something. It's adding another name. When you send Wolf, the lightsworn beast, to grave, with Shaddoll Fusion, he actually summons himself, and that's a huge thing in this deck, and in my deck, because it means I can go into Simoth, it means I can go into a Crimson Blader, just because I still have my normal summon left. I have a Construct, and I have like either a Simoth or a rank 4 option or a level 8 option, and it's just like that's so important and so great for the pushing for game. And being able to push for game with monsters that are going to summon themselves from the deck is just so good. So yeah, I really like Wolf. I don't think it's fast enough for this format to rely on Eclipse Wyvern, because obviously Clifford is just so fast. You need to be able to outspeed them, and obviously you need to be able to outspeed Bending Abyss. So for this regionals, I obviously decided to go for my Judgment Dragon Shaddoll's deck. So I'm just going to go through the kind of deck and what's in there that is different and what's in there that makes me think it's better. So we have 3 Denko. 3 Denko went in there last minute. As a result of looking at Jeff's list, I was like, yeah, you know what? 3 Denko is the way to go. I think that 3 Denko is actually better in this variant because you do mill, and you don't really want to see 2. But I'm going to mill 1 and draw 1, in an ideal situation. Then we have Aaron. Aaron's really important. Like being able to spin back things like Dante's to the extra deck, and that is a really important thing at the moment. And Bending Abyss aren't making Downward Magician so much at the moment, because obviously they want to be able to summon their tuner and make a Virgil, and they want to be able to summon they want to be able to leave face up Bending Abyss monsters on the field in their end turn, because then they can use Fire Lake in my turn. And yeah, I just really like against cards like Skarm, Shekanaga in defense mode. Like I think it's really good. There was a time I actually used Breakthrough Skill from the grave to negate his Shekanaga, attack with Aaron, bounce his Shekanaga, and then attack for game with whatever else I had. I had to Breakthrough Skill the Shekanaga because I'd summoned Aaron with Lumina. Jane's quite situational, but it's actually quite useful when you have to beat over a monster like Castell. You can't normal summon anything in the Shaddoll deck and just be able to attack over a 2000 beat stick. And, Jane's really good for that purpose. There's not really much else to say about Jane. She can attack over the defense mode of a Skarm. We've obviously got Judgment Dragon. Like, Judgment Dragon wins so many games on its own. You blow the field, and it's game. You put them on top of your deck with a lavalval chain. The same turn as you've summoned one, and most opponents would just straight up scoop there and then because they've got 2 JDs to face down, or they've just used all their possible outs to get rid of the current JD you've got. And this happened to me in the regionals. He booked me in my JD, he drew for turn, and he was like, oh, well, that one, I can't destroy the one that's face down, that's going to flip face up, and he's drawing into another JD as well. I scoop. So yeah. Just Judgment Dragon. I think it's similar in a way to obviously running one of the Chaos Monsters, because you do have to wait for your grave to be ready for it, but once your grave is ready for it, you're never then going to unprepare your grave for it, if that makes sense. So obviously your opponent might banish cards from your graveyard using that rank 4 guy. You're not actually going to banish your targets from grave to summon the Judgment Dragon, which is another thing I kind of really like about this, is like, in Shaddolls, then you might end up banishing cards that you don't really want to banish in order to summon the Chaos Monsters. And then, let's say you have multiple Chaos Monsters in hand, you don't have the resources in grave to summon all of them. Whereas if I have 3 Judgment Dragon in hand and 4 different lightsworns in grave, I can summon all 3 of them, no problem. And getting 4 lightsworns in grave is really easy. So yeah, no, I do really like that. Obviously, I've got so much mill. I pretty much every turn use between 1 and 4, if not 5 Shaddoll effects, and some of that's just through milling, and the end phase can be so critical. Like I can mill a Shaddoll core and add back an El Shaddoll fusion, and then El Shaddoll fusion in my end phase, using the remaining effects that weren't milled. It's just really, really powerful to be able to see so much and gather so much information about what your resources are, and then be able to El Shaddoll fusion in your own end phase. It's just really, really, really good. Obviously, in terms of destruction, I do have slightly more spell and trap destruction than Jeff played in his build. I've got 2 Lila. Obviously, Lila doesn't really do anything against Scout. It does pop the Scout in my turn, but I'm more likely to go for Trampolinks so that he can't continuously use Scout. Raikou is another form of spell trap destruction, and then obviously we both play 3 Shadow games, which is all you really need against Clifford. This is your MST because you send the dragon, and you've got triple El Shaddoll fusion as well. So El Shaddoll fusion and Squamata and a light monster. And I've got more light monsters than he has as well. So it's kind of I'm always going to have the abilities to make construct in a way that I feel when you're only playing 6 light monsters, 7 with BLS. You don't want to El Shaddoll fusion away a BLS. You don't really want to Shaddoll fusion from the deck any of the light monsters, Denko Sekka, or any of the the light chaos monsters. Whereas I actually like using Shaddoll fusion with my light monsters from deck because, and I've got things like Glow Up Bulb. Glow Up Bulb really does something in the graveyard in a way that like Puppet Plant and Mathematician don't do anything once sent from deck to grave. And I think with the completely renewable essence of the Shaddoll fusion spells, that it's so important that the cards do something when you do send them from deck to grave. Just looking at draw power, we see he's playing Allure of Darkness. I really don't like Allure of Darkness. I think that every time I banish any of my Shaddolls with the Allure of Darkness, I'm like, ugh, that was such a waste. I really wish I didn't have to banish that card with my Allure of Darkness. Obviously, it's good if you've got a dead Collapsed Serpent because there's no lights in grave yet to banish the Collapsed Serpent. But then obviously, it's Collapsed Serpent doesn't do anything when it's banished. It's not helpful to you in any way. Banishing any of your Shaddolls isn't helpful to you in any way. Like he's playing 3 Squamata, so I guess he probably finds it okay to banish a Squamata. I really love Squamata at the moment. Squamata is so critical with El Shaddoll fusion in the game. But yeah, no, I think this is like kind of why I much prefer Solar Recharge. Solar Recharge, it discards the light ones in hand. You do have a lot of normal summons in this deck, but you have a lot of ways to get rid of them. You have triple L Shaddoll Fusion, triple Shaddoll Fusion, triple Solar Recharge. Like, you don't really need much more than that. You've got 2 Lumina as well to discard them from hand. And, you know, you can really manipulate your hand and choose what you do and don't keep in hand for the duration of the game. And you've constantly got so much control over what you do and don't have. And, you know, you don't have any control over necessarily what you mill. Anytime you mill any of the Shaddolls that aren't dragon, it's always a +1. And then if you mill a dragon while they have a spell trap out, then obviously you do still get to plus. I send Groth to grave all the time because I don't really ever want to normal summon him. I want to special summon him with a Lumina pretty much turn 1 or 2, and after that I find him pretty useless. Like, but that's fine, he's another name in grave, and he does have his turn 1 uses when I happen to be able to make a Lumina and Garroth, or double Lumina Garroth. You know, being able to mill 10 in my first turn is fantastic, and drawing for any lightsworns that are milled, then also searching and drawing and summoning off any of the Shaddolls that I send to grave as well when milling. It's really good to kind of be able to end my turn with 3 cards on field, 6 cards in hand, turn 1, and that does happen like quite frequently, and that's something that just Shaddoll isn't able to do. This is 1 card different from the list I used at the regionals, because obviously I wasn't playing Snatch Steal. So the next thing I'd want to compare about the 2 decks is dead hand potential. Like, we look at Jeff's list, and you know, you've got 2 Puppet Plant, which can be dead against anything that isn't a spellcaster or warrior deck. So there's, you know, you're at a regional, you're going to go against decks that aren't playing spellcasters and warriors. Obviously, you know, once you hit top tables, you're going to be going against Shaddolls, Burning Abyss, Cliffort, but this is bad against Cliffort as well. You know, it's only good against 2 decks in the meta. So yeah, and then you've got Collapse Serpent, you've got you know, these have the potential to be dead in hand, these have the potential to be dead in hand, these have the potential to be dead in hand because they can only take control of face-up monsters. So yeah, I mean, obviously everything has a potential to add to a dead hand and, you know, not be particularly useful. You know, apart from like Mathematician, they're never really dead in hand unless you've got like 3 of them. But yeah, sometimes, and then of course BLS as well is definitely a high risk card to have in turn 1. And you know, when you're looking at turn 1, you're quite likely to be able to use Shaddoll Fusion or El Shaddoll Fusion, and Core's not dead because you can set it with El Shaddoll Fusion and, you know, do stuff in their turn. Super Poly's not dead. Like, it's a good card to have set, and you know, obviously Shadow Games is always fantastic. But yeah, so you've got these kind of like 10 cards in a 41 card deck that doesn't mill, doesn't have any way of not drawing into them, doesn't have any way of diluting how many dead cards there are in deck. So you got, you know, 1/4 of your deck is terrible to have in turn 1. You know, because you are going to be choosing to go first, because you whenever you win the dice roll, because you're Shaddolls, and that is, you know, you do choose to go first. So yeah, that was a huge problem I was having with the deck, is that, you know, even when I was pile shuffling, but especially whilst I was shuffling on DN, I just opened dead with this deck so much. So yeah, I lost loads of rating playing this deck, and I gained it all back, and I've got a really, you know, maybe one of my highest ratings that I've ever had. All my success and all my rating on is purely from Judgment Dragon Shaddolls, all the way from 1100 up to, you know, nearly at 1500. So we obviously turn over to the Judgment Dragon version and look at the kind of... So for Dead Hand Potential, we have 3 Judgment Dragon, Wolf, the Lightsworn Beast, Solar Recharge if you don't have a Lightsworn monster. But apart from that, it's really kind of quite solid. Like, even Bulb in first hand gives you a discard outlet for first turn Lumina players. So yeah, there really isn't that many cards that are individually inherently bad on the first turn. When building your deck, I think you should always be looking at what happens in time on the round as well. You know, this is why Volcasaurus is in the extra deck. It's simply because it's not hard to get a beast and a Winder on the field and overlay for a Volcasaurus, and sometimes you want to make Volcasaurus anyway because you want to deactivate your own Winder. But yeah, simply down to draw power, down to dead cards in hand potential, down to the number of outs that my deck has compared to the amount of outs that his deck has to certain scenarios and situations. I feel that the Judgment Dragon variant of the Shaddoll deck is actually the best version, as well as being able to utilize every single card that's being sent to the graveyard from the deck with Shaddoll Fusion, and having them be useful and serve a purpose in the graveyard. And finally, yeah, completely possible and happens very regularly that you finish your first turn having milled Beast, having milled Falco, having milled Hedgehog, and sometimes having milled Beast as well, and Glow Bulb. You know, sometimes you just have the absolute perfect turn. You've got 4 lightsworns in grave. This is all first turn. You've sent Beast to grave, you've sent Hedgehog and Falco to grave, and you've got a Judgment Dragon in hand because you've been solo recharging and Charge Light Brigading, and you know, you've used Lumina and Gareth to draw as well, and you've milled lightsworns off Gareth. Your first turn with this deck can be bigger, better, and plus more than any other deck in the entire meta, and all of those reasons are why I chose to play this deck and believe it is the best Shaddoll variant. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I know it's been quite a long video. Till next time, guys, Play Matter signing out.